Donald Trump holding a rally in Wisconsin. I'm Greg Gutfeld, along with Judge Jeanine Pirro, Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Waters, and Sandra Smith. It's The Five. Right now, Donald Trump firing up supporters in a key swing state. The former prez hammering Joe Biden's failures in Wisconsin. Here's some of the highlights.
We're going to evict weak, failed, and incompetent Joe Biden. He's an incompetent person. And quite simply, we are going to make America great again. Under crooked Joe Biden, the world is in flames. Our border is overrun. Inflation is raging. Europe is in total chaos. The Middle East is exploding. Iran is emboldened. China is on the march. And the worst, most incompetent, most corrupt president in history is going to drag us into World War III. First, he wandered off the G7 in Europe, the stage. He looked like he didn't know where the hell he was, but he didn't know where he was. Is anybody going to watch the debate? He's going to be so pumped up. He's going to be pumped up.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Joe Biden spending $50 million to call Trump a convicted felon with ads like this.
This election is between a convicted criminal who's only out for himself and a president who's fighting for your family.
All right, Jesse. So during this rally, Trump rattled off the myriad problems of the Biden administration. They're all real, practical. You can feel these problems. On the other side, Joe is pushing the narrative of convicted felon, and so far, Trump is up 20 points in Iowa.
Yeah, that's $50 million not very well spent. Everybody knows he's a convicted felon. His numbers went up after that verdict. I don't think that's something you'd want to spend money on. The whole country's already aware of it. If I were Joe Biden, I'd be spending money saying what I did for the country. But he hasn't done anything for the country, so we can't run positive ads like that. Trump, I think, is tied in Wisconsin right now. And crime's a big deal in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's, I think, the third highest crime rate of any city in the country. And inflation's a big deal. So it's going to be a battle of suburban voters there. And then Milwaukee's probably going to swing it if Trump can get enough of the black vote. He won it in 2016. He lost it barely in 2020. Ron Johnson has won consistently there. So there is a path to victory. The Milwaukee is going to host the convention. And that shows how much of a priority Wisconsin is going to be. That's going to be a full week of all local media just reverberating the message of the Republican Party, and that's going to be a great thing. I love how he's talking about the debate now. I just hope Donald Trump can be calm during the debate. I don't want him to be rageful. I don't want him to try to leap across the lectern and strangle with his bare hands. He just has to be calm, cool, measured, collected, and let Joe do his thing. That will be the key to victory.
Excellent advice from Jesse. So, Sandra, Jesse brought up inflation, and I can't believe this number, but it is from our fact sheet. The average household in Wisconsin is paying $967 more per month to purchase the same basket of goods and services as in 2021. That's almost $1,000.
That's why I was going to say, piggybacking on Jesse's point about staying calm, just stay honest.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just use the real numbers on the economy, you're a step ahead of what's happening right now. I mean, how many times have you heard this administration suggest or state that inflation was 9% when Biden took office and that somehow we're down from that? It was not. It was not. And they've been challenged on this and haven't corrected. It was 1.4% when Biden took office. The jobs numbers, you're seeing an increasing number of American voters that are skeptical of these jobs and econ numbers that are coming out. Last year, there was 10 months of downward revisions to the jobs numbers. So you're being told they're one thing and they're not. So nobody knows what to believe, but they know what they're feeling and they know what they're paying. And they see that money leaving their pocketbook. It's not going to other uses in their family. They're scaling back on soccer for their kid or whatever it is for the necessities in their household. And that's what they're feeling. So if he just steps up there or steps up on the debate stage and is honest with the American people about what is happening with the economy, they can decide for themselves if this administration has their family better off or if they were better off under Donald Trump.
Scaling back on soccer. Not sure that's a problem in my world.
No. This is the Wall Street Journal's written about this. I mean, when you're faced with decisions in your household and your kid says, I want to take on another sport or whatever it is, there are areas that you have to cut back as a family. You're not going to cut back on your food. You're not going to cut back on your utilities, right? But you might cut back on some of your extracurricular activities. And these are some of the tough choices that families are making.
So, Judge, Trump did a quick throwaway line that I thought just grabbed the entire sense of what we're going through. He says, our country is so badly run. That's exactly what a CEO would say. It's like he's looking and he's going, it's just so badly run. And like, no, how can you dispute that?
You can't dispute it. And what's interesting is what Jesse was saying. I mean, you're spending $50 million on an ad to say Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Really? Okay. And that's what Joe Biden's all about. He's all about name calling. He's all about names, the stars in Hollywood. And Donald Trump is out there talking about the failure of the Biden administration and talking about what he's going to do fighting for American families. And he's doing it in Wisconsin and Detroit, in Atlanta, in Michigan, Ohio, Harlem. He's talking to ordinary Americans about what they need. And there's no question that $1,000 a month more that people are paying for inflation, it's a tax. It's a Biden tax. So while Joe Biden, is dithering around and name calling, Donald Trump is addressing the issues. It's not 9% inflation when Joe Biden came in. It was 1.4%. I mean, the facts are the facts, and you can't lie to the American people. They know when they go to buy food, things are up 25%, 30%. Some of the fast food prices are double what they were 2 years ago. So all of this is nonsense. And Joe Biden can say that during the pandemic, how many jobs were lost? Well, we know they were lost because we closed down manufacturing. So in the end, Donald Trump is speaking to specifics of every American, Joe Biden's name calling.
Harold, in the green room, you shook your head in sorrow and said, I don't know how he does it, but there's not a celebrity there and he can draw thousands. But without celebrities, Joe Biden is alone and frail. I'm thinking about switching my vote. And do you want to have drinks later? And I said, no.
I'm going to have to run the tape back on that one. It's good to be back. And I'd say a couple things to this. This is what campaigns are about. I'm delighted as someone that enjoys campaigns for the substance of them. The name calling happens on both sides. And when you have a very narrow race, a very tight race like we have, as I listen to you guys, I think some of it is true what you're saying. But if all of it were true, President Trump would be up by 20 points. This is a tight race, and it will continue to be tight. And unfortunately, when races are tight like this, and you're only looking at 300,000 or 400,000 voters in a few states, both campaigns, both sides will overreach and say things that I think are untrue. Things that are not only exaggerations, but are cruel and mean. But at the end of the day, Judge, you're right. When you're talking about the kinds of things he's talking about today, that resonates, I think, more with those independent voters. And when Joe Biden talks about the number of jobs he's created, when he talks about the investments he's made in the country, that his policies have helped make in the country in all parts of the country, we're going to get down to a dogfight about issues and substance. And I continue to say June 27th, will be the most important day in a very, very long time in politics, because in my lifetime, I've never seen a former president run against a current president, a former president who was so recently president, and who have such different visions for the country. And all of us will have an opportunity to see them, and all of us will have an opportunity to hear them lay out without an audience, lay out where they stand on issues, why they made certain decisions that they've made over the last few years, and for that matter, the last 8 years with President Trump, and how their vision and how their policies will make us stronger and better over the next 8 years. I, for one, am looking forward to this debate in a huge way.
I'm just amazed. $967 a month. That's almost 12 grand a year.
It is.
I'm trusting you. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I read it on the internet.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.